That's what's happening. It's Monday. It's 420. Happy 420, everybody out there. My name's Tom, and we're going to stream. Last week I took off. I was working on some full rendered commissions. Not as interesting to stream the small bits about rendering tiny houses and little bricks and things like that. But I got a lot done, and I wanted to come back and brainstorm a new project for all my friends and relations today. This will hold me to keep productive and hopefully it'll inspire you to do some work in your own life. If you're not already doing work, maybe you're already doing work and you don't need to listen to me at all, and you can go on with your day. If you want to hang out and listen to me jibber jabber about making drawings, then you're welcome to do so. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm going to scratch my beard and think about what I'm going to talk about. Today we have an image from a lost tribe, and I love this color palette. The subject matter I think is kind of haunting and interesting. These Aboriginal tribesmen people with this powder coat costume kind of going on, and I took the liberty of censoring some of their bits that we seem to be too unsavory to look at in the West. So those are photoshopped out, but I like that there's several layers of gray, and there's warm reds, sierras, some oranges, and some yellows. And I think that's going to be really cool to try to replicate this color scheme. It's desaturated with a little bit of color and make our own little drawing. So that's going to be over in the corner. You know, we can take this one way to think about a color palette from this is you can do something called posterization. You can blur it and posterize it and get a sense of color. So if I copy this image and blur it a lot, filter, blur, Gaussian blur, what's a good amount? Maybe something like this, so we can see little pools of color. 8 pixels maybe. It's not bad. And then let's posterize this down. Adjustments. It's one of the really interesting filters. Image adjustments, posterize, and then you can set the number of colors you want. And the fewer colors you get down to some quick color picking. So this is 9, and it's really interesting the colors that Photoshop is determining from this blurred image. If we zoom in on those, there's the weird border regions, but we're seeing a lot of greens, grays, red, orange, kind of pinkish purple, mauve color. This is a very weird kind of alien color palette, but it's kind of interesting too. We could use some of these colors to pick and choose for what we want to do. A lot more pink than I would have expected, but still pretty interesting. So we're going to leave this over in the corner as our color guide. Now, if you don't seem to like this color palette that Photoshop's giving you, there's no rule saying you can't adjust it further. I can make another copy of this and Control U, which brings up my hue saturation tool, and I can shift this thing around a little bit. I can increase or decrease the saturation. Whoa, that's crazy. But you can see how the colors are really changing a lot as you crank them up or crank them down. Over here it feels like a green, but as I crank it up, it's just bright yellow. So what feels like a green is really just desaturated yellow-orange color. It's just the fact that it's close to this bright pink red that feels more green. It's color theory. It's the closer these colors bounce off each other, the relative position on their color wheel changes. So I think that's interesting. We're going to leave this kind of blurred off in the corner like that, and then we can quickly grab and capture colors that we want as we go through our image. Subject matter today, my old staple, probably some Commando guy. I got a reference for this, I would assume, is a ranger, Army Ranger in Afghanistan. And we have a lot of the camouflage, flat dark earth, sage green kind of colors. We have some grays, and we have the red adobe mud brick houses that are built over there in the Middle East or in the Southwest places in America. And then we got some kind of vehicle, like I'm thinking some sci-fi futuristic tracked or wheeled transport. So this is going to be our blocky reference for some kind of vehicle in the background, I think. I was recently watching a movie with a buddy, and it had some clips from Blackbird Interactive's Deserts of Karak game, and that is just a beautiful science fiction story game. And I'll bring that up for you to see. Made by the makers of Homeworld, which was another great sci-fi game. Made by Relic back in the day. And Deserts of Karak is, if you're a fan of Dune, I think this game is a must play. Or if you're into tactical military strategy games, this game does a lot right when it comes to how vehicles and aircraft can work in concert together, combined arms, mixed dimensional warfare, being airplane stuff, ground stuff, positional holding stuff, resource gathering. If you like RTSs, real-time strategy games, I think this is one of the best. It's a short, maybe 8 to 10 hour campaign, but it's rich with great sci-fi themes. And especially if you're a fan of the original Homeworld series, which is about managing a fleet in space. This is just super, super great. Yeah, so there's a video version on YouTube that's all the cinematics together with some of the in-game footage. It lasts about an hour, and that's fun to rewatch after playing the game and seeing the whole story come along. It feels a bit like Tatooine. It feels a bit like Battlestar Galactica. Yeah, it's a lot like Battlestar Galactica, actually. Themes of that. Fun. I love science fiction. I love military history. I love stories in general, and I'm learning more how to appreciate them. So let's start doodling. I'm going to move my reference over to the other monitor, so it's out of the way. Out of the way. Do we have anybody watching yet? Doesn't look like it, but that's fine. We're recording, so we can post this on YouTube later. Wacom pen. Orange juice from McDonald's. That's my name. That's me, Tom Simons. The YouTube channel, if you want to check it out later, is Turbo Simons. As is the Instagram, which doesn't get updated because I don't know how to use Instagram. Maybe someday I'll learn how to use the Instagrams. The idea for my drawing I'm thinking about is going to be a guy, maybe some kind of Mandalorian or Commando type dude in front of a vehicle in a desert. One of the best trips I've made, my mom convinced me to come to Arizona once and go to the Grand Canyon. And I was in awe of that place. I just thought it was so super, super cool. Super, super cool out there. Just to be humbled and overwhelmed by the scale of the world we find ourselves in. Yeah, so I like the idea of some kind of dude. I want to be able to see his feet and you know, his full body. But I'm also thinking about, do I want this to be a long telephoto lens where we're seeing the character straight on like we see it here? Maybe the character's looking over that direction. I love some of the Ralph McQuarrie paintings from Star Wars, the concept drawings of what that was like. Give some kind of crazy, weird sci-fi gun might be cool. Dude's looking off in that direction. And there's some kind of vehicle thing with some off-road bits like that. You know, inspiration, maybe some Blade Runner type stuff. Might be some Blade Runner has like a really cool one of the things I loved in the last Blade Runner with Ryan Gosling is the drone that comes off of the back of the vehicle and flies up. That's absolutely going to be a part of policing in the 22nd century. in the future. Like, every squad car could have a little drone that automatically flies off the top, looks around, comes back and charges. Militaries already has some kind of tool for that. There's like one guy in each squad that's a communications, technical kind of dude. If you love the movie Aliens, I think that was the idea of Corporal Hudson's role, played by Bill Paxton. He was the intelligence, electronic warfare kind of guy in the squad. So just massing this out. Is this interesting? So we'll keep this loose idea, full pose, which will draw the whole figure. It's not very strong. It's kind of boring. I can make an image that you can certainly paint this into something interesting, but I'm not really excited about this at the moment. Maybe I will be a little bit later. Let's try changing the camera lens a little bit. So I'm gonna make another image. Horizon line just a little bit below middle, something like that. What if we have a very fisheye kind of approach? So I'm going to make a square where the character's feet will be, and then kind of the middle of the screen will be the top of the pelvis. And then, so what if the camera is at belt buckle level, but it's a real fisheye kind of component to it? So we're seeing under the chin, and the head is going to be much, much smaller. And then the hands will be really, really big. And he's got some kind of funky carbine thing. And there's a lot more foreshortening. That's already a little bit more interesting. Foreshortening, I think, is fun. But it puts the camera really close, and that does some stuff psychologically. What does that mean? Right now, it feels like this character might be really big, and we're this small, like insignificant bug. Maybe we're a drone flying up and looking at this guy. Kind of spy business type thing. And then he's got his vehicle is going to be over here in a very fisheye kind of looking thing too. Big front wheel, tiny rear wheel, and then we have a drone up here kind of thing. Could be fun. Could be tethered. Tethering would be interesting. Like, I think the tethered drone idea, the tether itself gets heavy, but it means it's a secure feed. It can't be intercepted. When you're broadcasting radio signals, those can be intercepted and interpreted by somebody else. So, you know, tethering might be worth it. Plus, you have power. You could run the gas engine down here. I imagine in the future you could have some kind of super lightweight, super strong, imaginary technology tether device. Be cool. Landscape, clouds. I think that's a little bit more interesting. A little bit more interesting. But let's look. What's the first one look like? Yeah, kind of boring. I mean, I think you can do something where this would be more interesting if there was a wider landscape. This is cool if, let me copy and paste that. I think this kind of composition becomes more interesting if you have more landscape. Like, what's that format called in old Western movies? Like super wide format. It's really, really, really wide and scenic, and you have this vista of all kinds of stuff. CinemaScope, something like that. Maybe like an old Mexican village here, like an Alamo looking place. That could be kind of cool. And then some canyons and plateaus and stuff. That could be kind of fun. That's more interesting to me there when you have like a real wide shot from the old spaghetti westerns. That's beautiful. Or Westworld if you're watching that now. That's pretty cool. That might be a different image. So how do we feel about this one? No. So I feel like this is the weakest, this is better, and actually this one's pretty strong. When you get that wide field of view in there, now you got this rule of thirds kind of composition happening with the landscape, where you have that guy is now standing on a third point, on a strong point. It makes it a little bit better. What's up? What's up, Brandon? Welcome in. Welcome in. What what am I thinking about this guy? I'm a little perplexed. Which of these three I want to do? Well, if you can't come up with, one of those three, maybe there's a fourth option. Let's come up with a fourth option just for the sake of drawing. So we have the ultra wide. What if we got like what if we put the camera up a little bit higher? So high camera on the person, the horizon line gets higher as well. So let's draw a high horizon line, and then we have some mesa, some background. Maybe this is a train line back here. So when I was driving through the desert, I saw a lot of trains, man. I saw a bunch of trains coming through. Maybe like a City 17 kind of combine locomotive coming through. Choo choo, motherfucker! Choo choo. I think trains are interesting, man. Really powerful, really big. Out in the desert, like 2 mile trains. Just crazy long, crazy huge. And maybe we got a guy who's maybe we're seeing him at face level, and he's like leaning up against his car, so we're seeing his shoulders here, and he's got his like rifle or weapon slung, so it's going around his body, and then he's lighting a cigarette. I'm imagining on Happy 420, he's smoking something. He's gonna light up a thing, waiting for the train to go by. Oh, I'm already feeling better about this. I'm already feeling like this is interesting. So he's gonna be here, and what is he doing? He's gonna be. How do you bring light? Left hand lighter, right hand lighter. Yeah, I want to see the lighter though. So I want to see the lighting device. Maybe he's getting ready to cut. Yeah, something like that might be good. So imagining he's got one hand. That makes sense. Let's redraw that. Let's redraw this a lot lighter. 50%. Let's get the background to be lower contrast. Boom, boom. So that hand's going to be out. That arm there. And then this arm's going to do something like, so it's out in front and then up and then towards the face. And then towards the thing. The knuckle is going towards, I can look in the reflection there. Look in my camera and see what that looks like. Yeah, so that hand, the knuckles are tilted up towards the sky and the thumb is going to be on it like that. Having a mirror around, I was watching my friend Talia's art stream last week and it was great. She did an awesome job talking about her process of illustrating. And she said it's essential to have a mirror around. Now, I don't have a mirror in this room. I used to, but I kind of just like look down around me for my reference. But now I'm thinking about this stream is actually a really good way to see myself, and that's pretty handy. I don't know why I never thought about that before. So we'll do that. He's got, maybe this is like coming up to his face. It's in the process. So let's rotate this out and down. So like he's lighting it and bringing it up. I know most people bring the lighter to their mouth first and then they light when it's all like covered, but for the sake of this demo and for the artwork, I want to show, I want to be able to see that. I want to see the inside of the hand and the lighter and all that kind of stuff. So then we'll have our guy. It'd be good to get reference of a person in this kind of pose, whether it's yourself or maybe I'm just looking at myself in reflection here. I got my hat, but do like this. And then we'll replace that with some other kind of gear later. Breadman requested more streams, so we're giving him more streams. More streams for Brandon. Right, so he's got equipment slung. He's probably got a chest rig. I was watching the YouTuber Grand Thumb talk about chest rigs. So maybe we'll pull up some reference of that. Was talking about a Cry Precision chest rigs. That's not him. Emma Pearson, singer-songwriter, age 11. Not what I was looking for. I was looking for Grand Thumb. And he had some reference in his YouTube video about chest rigs for duty use. So we're going to try to integrate maybe this kind of thing. So he's got some pouches. Looks like you got radio pouch, probably an IFAK over here. A couple weapon magazine pouches up front. Water hydration tubes important. Radio push to talk buttons important. So we're going to just look at that for inspiration, but derive our own conclusion, derive our own look. Tourniquet pouch, ready mag. That's actually pretty cool with a down-facing magazine. Maybe we'll try to get something like that. For reference, he's got some kind of radio hooking thing. All right, so let's kind of draw that out. He's got some radio hooking thing. There's going to be a ready magazine here. Going to be some wires going into this pouch, and it's going to be like a radio walkie-talkie business, and then the straps come back, and then he's got all kinds of business. You know what? He probably has this. I bet there's an antenna that's kind of folded up here. I think these are cool when they have the antennas. They're like wrapped up and folded. Like they're kind of half working. Like the mast is half working back there. And then he's got a little bit of water. He's got a microphone here. He's got all kinds of equipment and business. I think that'll be fun. We got a little flag pouch. We got a couple magazine things, and then there's like some kind of weapon on top of here. And there's going to be a sling point, and that sling's going to come around on top of everything. So lots of layers of equipment here. That's pretty cool. And then he's kind of leaning up against some kind of vehicle. So there's going to be like a doorway here. That's neat. And this is a wheel well. Kind of out rigged off-road tire suspension thing. That could be kind of interesting. What's going on over here? This side, I don't know. There's a train there. I like the idea of a choo-choo. Choo-choo on the desert. We'll have to get some reference for that later, but we know generally trains are just a bunch of boxes. All right. Something like that. There's little power boxes and things on the side of the rail lines that send power to the signal control system. Long wispy clouds. How do we feel about that? That's kind of interesting. So let's look back on everything we've gotten so far. This was our first drawing. Kind of boring. Second, taking that drawing and expanding it to making it wide. Kind of interesting. Low version. Semi kind of interesting. I don't know. It's typical. The fact that the statue or the character's right in the middle is kind of boring, and my eye isn't really bouncing around this scene too much. Whereas the last drawing, there's a lot going on. It's cropped in. It's looking down. Got something in the upper left, got stuff going on the right. I think this will be more interesting. Not as much of the vehicle, but more the guy, more the personality. So maybe we'll try to work in some kind of portrait to this dude. Who would? Trying to think of someone who would be fun to draw right now. I could probably use Grand Thumb. Again, I'm gonna look and see if in the clip. Yeah, okay. I got a good. There's like a pose right there where he's looking down. That might work as a pretty good inspiration for a guy holding a cigarette. So I can print screen this, create a new file, and then crop that dude. So I got a little reference picture, and I'll use this reference picture kind of to inform what my drawing is going to be. It's not going to look exactly like him. It's just going to inform just a couple points like facial hair, eye location, eye look, all that type of stuff. What's up, Savannah? She's saying, I like the close-up better, but the other one could be more interesting if it was maybe rotated at a 45-degree angle and made worm's eye view. Yeah, I hear you. Worm's eye view is not what I want to do because I'm not interested in drawing shoes today. Like a little bit. Like I don't want the focus to be on the shoes. I'm more interested in like kind of the face and the upper body gear. If I was doing a Nike ad though, like Desert Air Jordans, that'd be dope. I would love some Desert Air Jordans, man. Some real cushy shoes. It'd be funny if this was like a shoe ad. Kind of like that. Like, I'm gonna make it silly. Let's go 16 inches wide. Oh, wrong image. This image. Canvas size. Let's go 14. Let's fill that background up a little bit more. What happened? Press some hotkey and the thing turned around. We're going to design a pair of awesome shoes. It's like some kind of advertisement. Desert Air Jordans. You know, something like, I think that'll be dope. Yeah, dog. That's what I'm talking about. Get some sneakers. Some dope, breathable mesh kind of sneaks. The Velcro top. Yeah, that's what's up. All right, Savannah, you changed my mind on shoes. Making a shoe ad all of a sudden. It is Commando. He's just chilling out. Didn't see that coming. Extra large padding for walking through the desert. That's fun. Extra high back. All right. So that's a very long foot with a low top. We're gonna change this a little bit. Let's bring that in. Do that there. That's a little better. Gotta get on my sneakers. God, I got made fun of my shoes so much growing up. We couldn't afford good shoes. Single mom household. What do you think? You cropped the legs, but I got you. Love to see the sketches at this stage. Glad that you like seeing the sketches, Savannah. All right. So dude's doing that. Let's do the face a little bit just to get some personality, some life into this. Guy's a little concerned. This guy's eyes looking down. Dude's got a long nose. Dude. He's got a pretty stiff mustache. A little bit of that other eye there. I like you can do commandos with the full beard, but it's almost more realistic just to have that kind of spotty beard. Not every guy can grow a full beard. It'll get a little patchy along the sides. I feel like my stream stopped. Zach's here. What's up, Zach? Start selling them now. The Air Desert Jordans. Desert Air Jordans. Just dry you out. That probably already exists. Probably a thing like that. Appealing to Commando wannabes like myself. So we're incorporating a Marlboro Man spaghetti western with like veterans coming back from Afghanistan. Remember that hashish that you enjoyed in the hills of the Hindor Kush? Well, we got that for you, and you can enjoy it while wearing your brand new Desert Air Jordans. It's gonna be all in one, ladies and gentlemen. When you hear the whistle of that lonesome train, you'll be in your comfy shoes thinking, man, I can't believe how easy it is to traverse these brutal desert sands wearing my Desert Air Jordans. $499.99. New low introductory rate. Customized with your unit insignia. Well, you got your comms listening to sweet, sweet sound of command telling you what you should be doing and what the grooming standard is. You're going to be comfortable in your Desert Air Jordans. It's got the Nike swoosh. Nice cap. USN. It used to be US Navy, but I think it's the United States of Nike. USN. That's what it is. Zach sending me a link about some sneakers. Jordan 10 Retro Desert Camo. That's what's up. That's what's up. Black in the desert, though. Not a big fan of black in the desert. However, that these exist, I like it. I like it. Pretty cool. Dude, who doesn't love a pair of Nikes? They just get it right. I'm looking at these Nike shoes you sent me, Zach. Look at this. Air. Just in case you forgot what kind of shoes you're wearing. It's got it. Air. That's funny. What are some classic hallmarks of the Air Jordan sneaker? This has gone completely off the rails, ladies and gentlemen. I think about that strap at the top as being a classic, important look. Oh, wow. I'm seeing like a green, tan, sci-fi looking. Ooh, Travis Scott, Nike Air Jordan 6 Cactus Jack. That's what I'm talking about. 210 pounds. Wow. Those are dope. Cactus Jack. It's got little pockets on the side. You can keep your water purification tablet on the side of that. Dang. Those are hot. So this is a classic Jordan to me. It's like that's what I think about when I think about Jordans. Air Jordan 1 satin black toe. That's interesting. So you got a strap in the front. That's where it connects, and then you have the edge, and then the breathable bit on the toe, and then some kind of strap thing at the top here. So let me try to mimic some of those hallmarks of this shoe. So there's a strap that kind of comes from like so this the whole backing comes across. So that's one part. And that kind of goes into the swoosh kind of nicely. So this is all one bit of stitching. And then there's an important like strap here in the front. Part of their brand identity. And then there's like the I guess toe guards. And then there's like a venting thing on the top. So some kind of business like that. I think that looks pretty okay. I could make it a little bit taller here. I kind of want to make that front end a bit taller, so I'm just going to select all this area and then transform warp. Transform warp. Yeah, that's what I want. I want it taller. That's cool. That's what's up. That's what's up. Something like that. Boom. Alright, Desert Air Jordans. Cool. I gotta give me a pair of those Travis Scott Nike Air Jordan Cactus Jack. Bookmarking that page. I love the transition into a Nike Armour commercial piece. Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. Under Armour's already got that whole thing done. Like Under Armour already has like a military contract bit. I guarantee you Nike's made some military boots. At some point, some warehouse, some small division under a different brand like Nuki instead of Nike. The nuke your ass if you mess around brand. This dude's got his like all-wheel vehicle, choo-choos in the background. This drawing is such a mess. It's like also a weed ad too at the same time. Smoking ad. Hindu Kush. Desert flower. Business. All right. Fingers. This is just a mess. Just a mess of lines right now. So the left hand's coming up to support the right hand to cover the flame. It's going to be some kind of like blue flame probably. Propane in the membrane. Let's get some colors just back here just to start skis. So this was going to be our color cue for this drawing. So let's pick some colors. Got this like sky yellow. It's interesting. Right. Got some pink. Let's work some, wow, look how light that pink is against the background here. You have gray. Got this orange, it's beautiful. The orange next to the pink. It is like sage yellow. Got some darker tones I'm picking out from there. How does stuff feel? How does this strike me? Like green vehicle maybe? Vehicle's got a greenish to it. He's more brown. How's that feel? Is this gray sky better? I don't know. That's awfully light. I'm wincing because I don't know if I like it or hate it. Background being pinkish feels good. Sage. It's feeling more Bundeswehr the way the colors of the uniform are, but that's fine. Can mix it up a little bit. The sneakers, what are they gonna be? They're gonna be like brown, some kind of like reddish there. Need mostly orange. I think that swoosh has got to be the military green. Swoosh has got to be that army green. Something like that. And then the strap could be like a sage. I think that'll be cool. I think this is what the sneaker wants to be. And then we'll find like a red that makes a little bit more sense. A little bit of red. Be red trim. Something like that. Thinking about that song by the great musician of the Police, Sting. He's got that song Desert Rose. Desert Rose at night, and see she moves and do the sun of my yeah. Another sun that never has sweet hush to something like that. Something like that. I'm having fun, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you guys are having fun. What you up to today? You drawing? What you doing? What you doing, Zach? What you doing, Savannah? B? You having a case of the Mondays? What? Got a message. What you guys saying? L's in the house. What's up, L? Good to hear from you, sir. I know you were mad at me for not streaming all last week. Well, your boy took a little break, did some drawing, and some longer project stuff. I played a lot of Zelda last week. Zelda's so good. Zelda's so good. I was in the desert area, the Gerudo region in Zelda Breath of the Wild, and it sucked. It gets hot and it gets cold. Like temperature management is a real thing in that desert game. It's a good thing that they're in a fantasy land too, where you can just wear some fancy necklace that makes you cooler all of a sudden. You gotta do some cross-dressing in that game to stay cool because all the garments that are in the hot region are for ladies. So you got to wear the lady hotness until you find the secret store that's got the men clothes. Men's clothes are in the secret place. So Choo Choo is going to be like a yellow diesel locomotive. There's some just whatever kind of stuff. There's no blues here. Maybe there's a little bit. Is there any blue I can use? There's like a gray, like a nice kind of gray thing. Let's vignette it a little bit. Does the cloud be a gray or a blue? What's that feel like? Is that good? Is that cool? Nike advertisement. Gotta have the desert colored headband business. Something like that. Something like that. What's this color? This color's what's this one? Ooh, that's interesting, like a darker red. Yeah, that's what's up. That's what's up. There's like muddy kind of bits down here. I don't know. So I'm sampling colors from this other image. I'm trying to work them in. This is a window. It's too light, too green. Is that what that one is? It's green. No, it's dark. Dark thing there. With a tire. Something like that. Cool. Cool. Let's get the rest of the silhouette. How are we feeling about that? Let's flip the image, take a look. So I want a little bit more space on the left side of this image. I still kind of want some more space all over. So we're going to increase that canvas even more so, kind of equally on both sides. Let's add an inch to each side. 16. What does that do? Helps a little bit, right? Right, it's a little better. Door, top of the vehicle is like this, and the choo-choo train lines here, and the mountains are like that. Does that feel good? Selling Nikes today. Just kind of make a camouflage patterny off to the right side of the screen. Feel free to ask questions, ladies and gentlemen. Savannah's chilling, watching this while also attempting to bake some normal maps in Blender. Ah, good luck. I don't know how to work that in Blender. Let me know how that goes. Zach saying, in case of the Mondays, social media campaign, new devlog, getting playtest feedback. Very important. Good luck on your new game, Zach. Jazzed about it. How's this image look? You looking good? All I'm seeing is Nikes. Just seeing Nikes on my screen. All right. It's doing something. Man, it looks terrible on the stream. It's terrible. Okay, what can we do to make this look better? Well, I want to get some highs and lows, get some highlight and low stuff. So gonna brighten this up in the shoulders a little bit. Some color here. Kind of want to start painting over the whole thing. What happens if we just lighten the harsh lines down a little bit, create a new layer, save the file for the love of God. Save. Don't forget to save. Save your work. Projects. Call this desert Kicks. Desert Kicks. What kind of music you listening to today? I'm about to put on some jazz, some New Orleans jazz. I think that'll put me in a good mood. But I'm worried about streaming music while streaming Outbound. Let's see what that looks like. Something I love on my road trip, stopping in New Orleans for some jazz. I'm looking at my drawing thinking that my guy's torso is not big enough. It's probably not foreshadowed enough. You need to establish the leg. You establish the leg. I like the idea of this advertisement. I also need a full concert worth of stuff. Could put Fish on from last week. Is it in the movie still? Yeah. Yeah, there's still the Fish show from last week. I'll just put that on. It's 4 hours of music from the Fish show last week. Thank goodness for the internets. I can be broadcasting and listening to other things at the same time. Let's close. Actually, just move this over. Color ref can go over there. Thinking about some negative space. Do I want a baseball hat? Actually, I think I want to turn this into a helmet. That was my original idea because those helmets are just super impressive and they got so much funky gear on them. You throw some night vision, I think would be dope. A little darker there. And multiply. Actually, that won't work because I'm on a separate layer. Multiply won't work. So just energetically making marks to see if anything gets exciting. Be a lot of pinching up at the shoulder area. Usually have some wiring, they got like an extra battery pack in the back of their helmet to run the night vision, to run the nods a little bit longer. So I would call this approach a hybrid approach where it's a mix of color and line work, and it gets sloppy. So you gotta be pretty clear-headed to work through this process. Otherwise, you're just going to be completely reinventing yourself as you go along, and it's an inefficient way to work. I think. Well, it's inefficient because you're trying to solve two things at the same time: color and shape. Usually, if you do line art first, you're just solving shape problems. So that's more straightforward. So if I went back and just did a line drawing over the entire thing, that'd be the efficient way to go. But I think it's less interesting and less kind of cohesive. Like I want to give you guys a cohesive image. Like if you kind of understand, even though this is rough and messy, you can understand more generally where I'm going towards, even if it's less refined. It's got more of the elements of everything across it. So solving color, shape, tone all at the same time might be a little bit much. Might be setting myself up just for a harder go of things. This would be the mount where the control arms for the headset are for his peltars. Let's make that signal unit a little smaller, a little bit further on the background. Don't want it to have it lining up with his gear. You can make it stand alone. Where's our light source? We haven't really talked about that yet. Could be a sunset. Could be... What's it look like when light's coming from over there? If we just paint over a little blue over the whole thing, and a little bit warm over on the right side. I want to be able to use my screen dodge, blur, multiply control, so I'm just going to copy everything visible right now. Control A for select all, Control Shift and C and a Control V to paste that. So we have everything on one layer. I might create a new folder in the background just for work, just whatever it took to get to this process. I'll save that and hide it, so I can go back to it later if I wanted to demonstrate something or show somebody what my thought process was for this image. Savannah says, thanks for the save reminder. I needed that. I needed it too. That's why I did it. Is it really 2 o'clock already? Already an hour in. Let's see, how far can we get another hour? I'll probably work on this for 2 hours today. Totes. How am I feeling about this? Glad you asked. Okay. I feel okay about it. I'm not thrilled yet. Not as jazzed as I was working on a crab robot coming out of the ocean. Thinking about some of the details that need to go on here. I'm going to make all his chest rig components a monocolor because it's confusing. So everything on his kit, I shouldn't say that, everything on the plate carrier is going to be this brown color. And then we have a weapon which will be a different color, maybe this one. And that's going to be slung. And that sling be another color. What would that other color be? It's gray. No. That's pretty good. Decide what kind of weapon that is later. Does this make sense? I think it does. Something like that. The fingers established. Noticing while I'm listening to music, I'm not talking as much, so I'm going to try to pause the music. I was just listening to Fish jam on Undecided, Undefined, Underman in my heart. And then I'm listening to that, and I'm not thinking about how this podcast sounds, and it sounded like nothing for the last 5 minutes. So pause the music. Thank you, Fish, for your contributions to my brainwaves. I'll turn you down for a little bit. Try to walk the viewers through what I'm thinking as I'm working on this thing. And I'm thinking it's a mess. I need a shoulder strap to be established here. And then I need a patch here. I need a little bit of a magazine thing here. This arm is somewhat established. I'm going to start outlining because I just need to give myself some clarity. Usually when all the stuff's kind of balled up, it might go a little short on the arm. Seen that common when like kind of gear gets pinched up and flexed in. It's going to be a lot of folds. That's the word. Arm comes under there. This is going to be some kind of optic on top of the rifle or gun. I don't know what. You have a stock kind of coming off over this direction. The magazine, fire control, all that kind of stuff is kind of hidden under the main part of the drawing here. Setting sun, looking business. Like a drawing like this would actually benefit from being done completely in black and white and then colored a little bit later. Cablage, vehicle. Just looking through the window. There's probably some kind of dashboard here, some kind of wheel. Some gauges. Probably like a dark purple or something. Maybe there's like a little bit of blue highlighted digital display stuff in there. Pouch, another pouch. backpack thing, antenna thing, water tube. And don't read too much into the politics of this, be it like, hey, maybe Tom's making some artwork about how corporations run America, and it's really the American soldiers are living and dying because of Nike and making sure that their profits are still the best in the world. No, no, I'm not saying this. This is more like fantasy land. Like, what if, um, people just want to support their brands, right? He says, "Not my intention. It's not my intention to be some like political commentary." Posts corporate industrial military complex. I really want to silhouette that. Like, I love headlights, and I love even more those hot lights that people bolt on to their Jeeps and their dune buggies in the car. When you need extra lights, I think those are so cool. We want the music. I want the music. Look, Savannah. If we got the music, then we can't have talking. I'll send you what I was listening to, and you can listen to it. Let's go to the history. Okay, I got that copied, and I'm gonna write you a message right now, and then you can listen to the music that's playing in my head right now. Boom, there it is. Yeah, I don't want to stream the music over the stream because it's legalities and copyrights and all that kind of business. Don't want to get into it. Look how good these sneakers look. The Travis Scott Nike Air Jordan 6 Cactus Jacks. Man, they got them in 12. Oh, that's nice. Little embroidery in the pocket. I want to know, what would you guys keep in your pocket? If you had a tiny sneaker pocket, what would you keep in there? Some matches? Water purification tablet? Those sneakers are no joke. Look dope. What's a train look like? They have little faces. They have like little noses, spotlights on them. Track itself is really dark. It's like a black scar across the desert. He's probably got his sunglasses hooked in there. Got your sunglasses. Got some purple lenses. That's how you look cool in the desert. You got your purple aviators. So this guy's got, he's got some purple gold aviators. They're just kind of off his head right now. Kind of hooked into some of his kit. His kit. Green tape holds that together. Another war movie I like a lot, animated war movie, is called Waltz with Bashir. It's an Israeli film about the Lebanese Civil War. I think that's got some really beautiful imagery in it. I remember it being like mostly monocolored. Not a lot of color in that film. Locomotive looks kind of like a school bus. Actually, the vents are on the top, aren't they? It's pretty. It's just a bunch of panels on the side of the choo-choo, and then there's like a railing. Dudes can walk around on the outside. Two trailer park dudes go around the outside, around the outside, around the outside. And there's like fuel tanks, stuff down below. I think there's a big like diesel tank below that business. There's a couple doohickeys. It usually says some junk on the side like Southern Union Pacific, and then like a number, like 500, 499, something like that. It's kind of cool. Something also neat in the desert is like the higher you go is like little trees and stuff. So like on top of these mesas might be some forestation stuff. Let's go purple on our shadows there because we love purple. Love it. We want more of it in our lives. Especially because living in Ravens country right now. Baltimore Ravens, big deal. Big deal out here. Baltimore wants more of that Lamar Jackson. Might not get it this year, though. We might not have football. Might be a year without sports. It's a shame Disney stock is tanking right now. We got 2/3 of Disney's profitability are doing nothing. No one can go to theme parks, and no one's watching sports. Wait a second, Tom. Did you just say Disney and sports in the same sentence? Yes, they own ABC and ESPN. And ESPN is a very expensive institution. So Disney's losing money. They spend a lot of money on their licenses to broadcast sport. There ain't no sport to broadcast. How do you know this, Tom? Well, I worked at the X Games, ESPN X Games. Volunteered a couple years and got paid a couple years to do some camera work for them back in the day. Way back when. I'm just going to put a little purple on this guy. Got a lot of purple there. Darker. What am I doing? I'm bouncing around the canvas trying to see if everything is kind of cohesively done together. I have a pretty bright highlight along the right side because it's going to be getting hit by the setting sun. Quick gear and equipment, something like that. Start wearing purple, wearing purple. Da-da-da-da-da. Start wearing purple for me now. All the shadows are gonna have a little purple in this painting. There's going to be lighting racks everywhere. What you folks saying? Nothing new. Nope, wrong color, wrong color. Going to lit green, turns into a little bit of a orange on the wheel well here. Some kind of rock. A rock. Iraq. The painted desert. More yellow, maybe? Yeah, it feels pretty good. We're gonna have long shadows. If there's anything kind of blocking the view, it's gonna make a very long shadow. So let's get some kind of rock thing here. There's like a little cactus plant. Right here. Cool. Cactus plant. Long shadow. Long shadow. The purple for the back side of these train cars. Something like that. See how that feels. So we're gonna, that gap between cars is gonna get narrower and narrower as that thing. Maybe it's coming around a bend so it disappears behind a bend before it gets there. That's cool. Some soil. Cool. And then the wheels on these trains are always like all dark and rusty and dirty and stuff. So we're just gonna make dark marks where the bogies are, and then gray red circles where the wheels are facing the sun. I think that'll be good, at least for now. Oh, there's also like a separation. I always forget there's like a separate like suspension. There's like some box. There's some Connex box on top of a platform. I don't know what the term is for that. Like is it the car? Because usually I think of a box car as like a whole contained unit, and this is just like the wide doodad that holds Connex box. Like this Connex box might say something on the side of it, like Maersk. You know, it's gonna have some name. Walmart. Nike. You know, so. Cool. Getting lost in the weeds there a little bit. Let's go to the right side, see what's up over here. Oh, the power of the setting sun. Thanks, Savannah. Glad you dig the purple. What happened over here? What's over here? Where's the cactus? I think cactus is a good idea. Cactus? this is pretty cool. They come with their own pinstripes. Stylish. Is this a great drawing? I don't think so, but I think the idea is brilliant. I think the idea is a good idea. It was a collaborative process. Everyone in the chat got involved in this idea making. Even you, Brandon. Brandon used to sell sneakers. And that's what I was thinking about. He helped me discover my love of Jordans. So I don't own a single pair. Maybe this will inspire me. Once I get a job, go get me some Jordans. First thing to get? No, I'll probably get some food first. Let's see. Shade the edges a little bit more. Work on the design of how they lace. Something like that. So I'm going to use light and dark to establish this form. So dark is going to be the underlayer. And light is where the loop hole is. Something like that. Isn't this funny? I said earlier, like, I'm not interested in shoes, and then just drew shoes. Got a backwards swoosh thing going on there. Little trompe l'oeil kind of effect. We're shadowing the underlayer versus the whatever's over layer, whatever the bigger primary layer is. The purple sky on the front. Something like that. Sneaker kids, sneaker punks, being all punky with the sneakers. We got time for them. We'll make time for them. Make time for sneaker kids. Everybody gets a chance. Why does everyone get a chance? Because only you can prevent forest fires. Said Smokey the Bear. It's up to all of us to be responsible. So all of us need to have some responsibility. Some privilege. Soweto cactus. Just darken all that down. Just gonna hit multiply. Gonna get my little airbrush out, and I'm gonna pick the local color and just darken whatever the local color is down to vignette this thing a bit. Cool. So the back. So what's most important here? What have I not resolved at all? I'm looking at the left side has not been resolved, and there's still a gap between the edges where I expanded a little while ago. So yeah, this will be some kind of closer hill thing. Chocolate chip. Cool. Close in, and then on the left side, what's going on over here? You should have the railroad coming across. Let's resolve a little bit of this business. Let's just go stylized here. Just to clean it up, maybe. Yep, that's starting to feel good. Vegetation. It's like a rocky bit in front here. Oh, this is maybe a couple of rocks. Rocks in the foreground. And after this, I'm going to just think about some lettering. Trying to make the background and the lettering kind of integrate. Call it Cthulhu kind of theming makes sense here. Ecstasy of gold kind of stuff. Thinking about Wild West whistling music. It's probably got some interesting like sand cut type shapes just for purely aesthetic reasons. Edge traction. Kind of diamondback, rattlesnake looking business. So it's hard to come together. It's in a really silly way. You want stuff to feel like there's some kind of perspective with your shapes. You make shapes that are thinner and thinner and thinner as they get away from you. So big wide shapes down in front, and then medium sized shapes in the middle, and then thin long shapes further and further behind. Highlight. Looks like a skin highlight though. I don't want it to be a skin highlight. I want it to be like yellow gold sunset over bright highlight. So we can go much higher contrast on the elements that are next to us and lower contrast for the elements that are further away from us, like you do. I'm just going to mix up some of that. Glaze over some light, make that a little greener. Our cactus friends. Lighter weight. Pretty fun. Kind of well. I'm not really sure what this wheel well is going to really look like or do. I know I want it to be a little lighter on the side facing the sun. Does that make sense? Maybe. Probably a little too high contrast down there for this tire situation. Ugh. I don't know what's going on here. Thinking like a braid pattern. Might be too complicated for me to draw the braid pattern right now. Ugh. I don't know, something like that. The camouflage is going to be making this complicated, so I'm going to paint over the camouflage a little bit. Try to finish establishing the forms of this guy's clothing. Shadow, shadow side, neck side. This is going to be some kind of strap. Let's make the shadow a little darker. It's mostly going just silhouette in the back side of the helmet here. So the water hydration. Yeah, you know what? I don't think you'd see the hydration tube because it'd be coming on the left side or opposite side of his body. Excuse me. A lot of these helmets have rail systems now on the side of the helmet for mounting various lights and equipment like this set of ear protection. Watch his face up a little bit, a little red, more red on the nose and the cheeks. Super highlight on that side. Trying to get the shape of the eyelid. A little more red just around the eye itself. Maybe just a little bit of highlight under there. A little hit of that white in the eye. So these have little screw mounts here, here. Might be a different color material. That bracket. Is that fun? It'd be so dark you wouldn't see those in the daylight. That the amount of green would be real subtle. You would barely see it in the daytime. Dual tubes. Could do pano tubes. There's like 4 of them. What do we got? 15 minutes left. 15 minutes left. How cool. We're getting places. A little bit of some lighter worked out. What y'all think so far? Let me know what you think. What's your critique? What's going on? It's time for a self-crit. Self-crit, what's going on? If I squint my eyes, well, the shoe really has 2 distinct tones. On the left side of the shoe is pretty dark with that purple, and that is forcing it kind of into the background. So I need something to punch up that shoe to make it feel more foregroundy. There's a high area of contrast right in the middle of the shoe, where the laces are intersecting with the lace holders. But the area on the left here, I think, needs to be lightened up just a little bit. So it's looking at us, and then there's some rim light coming from the other side. If that rim light from the setting sun can be punched up a lot. Something like that. Yeah, so it's really standing off of the outside here. All right, so that makes it punch just a little bit better. That helps. The guy's forehand, I think, is boring. This hand here. I need to see my own playback to know what's going on. What is this? So we need more. Thumbs up. We need more fingers. Yeah. Okay. I had the shape wrong. All right. It's more of that. pouches. Weapon can be darker and higher contrasting. Like you get one little bit of like upper reflection, sky kind of reflection off the top. But really, majority of these guns is going to be pretty darn dark unless it's been painted to some kind of local color like Krylon, spray painted. A lot of these guns were. A lot of the guns that go overseas do get some paint, at least in the special units. If you're a grunt, just in big army or something, maybe you're not allowed. Maybe the Marines aren't allowed to spray paint their guns because they're going to go back into a locker and go to somebody else. So that kind of personalization isn't allowed. But other units do get to do that. Usually special units get to do that because they're issued guns directly to them, and they train so much that they'll burn a gun out just in training. So they get to do whatever they want with it. Plus, they're like one set of night vision is more expensive than everything else they're wearing. A $10,000 piece of light intensification equipment. Yeah, it's messy, but we're getting the idea across, right? No more colors. This is just a big field of sage green. Like to mix it up with maybe different hues that are all within the same kind of spectrum. Maybe some shadows. Probably would be some blurry, little ground objects that are getting a little bit of shadow somewhere. I'm going to change the hue a little bit here so that the shoulder pops out more. A lot of the shirts that they wear overseas now, they have a patch. There's like a bit of hook and loop on the shoulder, and then you could put patches in with that. So just like U.S. and for United States Nike. Something like that. Jordan. Get a little bit more skin tone. Just going to go 30% layer skin tone over this purple so it doesn't feel so abstract. Yeah, that's a little better. And then if you want to make your hands feel a little bit more realistic, you can go a little bit of red on the knuckles. Just a little bit of red on the knuckly areas. Like this, your character has been doing some work. It's had some trauma. Something like that. Something like that there. Feeling pretty good. Get a little bit of that sunshine, setting sun on that. On that. A little highlight on those glasses that are hanging from his uniform. Bit of that there. We'll hit there. It's a little brighter edge. All right, 60%. Let's go 100%. Bump, bump, bump. Bump, bump. Just like that. It's getting better. take this outline color here and just do a little bit more lettering. Lettering is kind of fun. It's something I started doing more of over the winter break. I was out in California doing some logos for some people. I met in Tucson and got into doing some letter drawing because they needed some t-shirt stuff and I didn't have access to a font library. I don't know anything about licensing fonts. That was something the UI department usually dealt with when I was working. So I'm like, well, if I draw the font, there's no licensing fee to pay. I know that much. So I'm just going to come up with my own stuff, my own business. And that way I'm not worried about legalities. I just had the thought, like, what if Jordans were like named after the country of Jordan instead of the famous basketball player? I do like that King and Prince Abdullah kind of guy over there. He's a Bamf. The Jordanian sneakers have been a strong and key ally in our fight against bad sneakers. Poor shoe aesthetic is a blight. That's fun. Just writing some letters is fun. That's something you see in a lot of little kids books, like when they're notebooks, and I think lettering is more of a universal art. I think more people take up drawing fancy lettering than illustrating, for sure, right? For sure. It's universal. And think about calligraphy. Yeah, getting a real Western feel now. Digging it. I'm thinking the lettering's kind of like bullet shaped. It's got some bullet shape elements to it. Never got into graffiti too much, but I think about graffiti as being a key. It has to be listed in the catalog of language art forms, right? Even if you don't um, allow it or curtail for it, permit it. Desert Air Jordans. How are we doing on this? We're okay. We need a little bit more contrast in this close-up. Cactus here, a little more color, saturation, a little darkening, ning, 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 ding-a-ling. Knock the contrast of this cactus down just a little bit. Cool. More purple up here. It's kind of nice. Cool. I think this is fun. I kind of like how this came out. It's a little sloppy, but that's what you get when you have 2 hours to draw and color and brainstorm and everything else, right? That's all you got time for. All you got time for. I'm still not thrilled with this hand a little bit. I could probably do a little bit more there. Oh, there's a shirt. It needs to come over to this side. Weapon's a little monotone. I didn't put any time into that today. Just maybe just silhouette it out and call it good enough. Stuff's there. Didn't get to really figure out the rest of the hand business. Here's like a fingernail here. Pretty chill stream today. What am I going to do the rest of my day? I'm going to do some 3D modeling, listen to some podcasting, probably some Rogan, maybe some primary and secondary. Then some music tonight. I believe Ghosts of the Forest is playing a show later, pre-recorded show. That would be Trey Anastasio's other band, Trey Anastasio of Fish, lead singer and guitarist. A little side project. I might listen to that. I'm not crazy about Ghosts in the Forest, but my friend Quillis is, and he suggested I take a listen, so maybe I will just for his sake. The hand might be a little small. Like really the knuckle, yeah, the knuckles are really out here. I just messed this whole thing up. And then it's one joint here, and then there's another. Yeah, there's an extra thing there. That's a little better, I think. Skirt up knuckles. We can make the back of the hand just a little bit dirtier because you're going to have some forearm hair. Foreground thumb is going to be pretty bright. We just dark in there. Pretty cool, eh? What are you guys saying? Subtle race on the Savannah says the subtle red on the face is really cool. Thanks, Savannah. Glad you've been participating today. Let's see what else we got. Some more of those colors out there. Let's do it. Let's look at the levels of everything here. All right. Control L. It's pretty balanced. Pretty balanced all the way across. We can crank it up a little bit. Contrast just a little bit. That's cool. You can look at this all in desaturated mode, see if it still works, black and white. So in black and white, it starts to get muddy on the right side. I'd want to really establish some lights and shadows if I was to do more work on this. But not bad. This can be a little bit darker. Make the vehicle really dark, maybe underneath, and then the guy is silhouetted in front of the vehicle a little bit. That might work. Got my spokes on this wheel here. Forgot to refine the collar here. And his neck. Neck would be a little darker than the face. And the inside of the collar on the other side is down here. Can we do a better job with these folds? I think so. I definitely think so. I got a wristwatch. Might help. Help a little bit. Help make some sense of this crazy world just to know what time it is. It's a little small. I feel like the whole left hand's a little small. Like this whole thing could probably get a little bit bigger. Let's try that. Let's try grabbing the whole hand and wrist. And I'm going to Control Shift C, Control Shift V, and then scale that up just a little bit. Yeah, that already feels a little better. Yep, that's what you want. And then darken down the back hand a little bit. Yep, that's already better. Image flip. How's that doing it? It's working. It's doing something. It's doing something. I mean, we could polish this bit out here a little bit. Kind of fun. Cool. We did a bit of a drawing today. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for hanging out with the Tom Tom. Appreciate you just by being here. Encourages me to keep working, answering questions, thinking critically, creatively, and I hope we inspired you a little bit today to be creative somehow in your own life, whether it's making yourself a meal, getting that sketchbook out and drawing, getting out your journal and writing a little bit. I think it's important to write during this time. I journal every night, what I'm feeling, what I'm experiencing, how I foresee the future to be, and what I'm grateful for. And right now, I'm grateful for this technology, grateful for you guys, grateful for my friends, my teachers in the past, all those who have inspired me. And even I'm grateful for some of the bad things that happened to me too, that maybe prepared me for this long period of isolation and gave me some perspective. And if life was all good all the time, you would have nothing to measure it against. You'd never be satisfied. I think that's why the last 20 years, like social media was so negative, is because everyone had such good lives before. They had no bottom end of that trough to compare how good it was against. And if you're a fan of history, if you study history, you realize, you learn how terrible the past was. I mean, the stories from, even if you're religious, the ancient Bible, right? Like the Old Testament was horrific conditions in the old. And they don't even talk about like how short life expectancy really was, and rates of child deaths from childbirth, and war and pillaging tribes and stuff like that. We don't have to deal with a lot of that today in the West. I mean, there's definitely places still at war, and those places are horrible. And it's like where you go to Syria or Yemen, Afghanistan, it does feel biblical in an Old Testament horrible kind of way. So, but mostly in the West, we don't experience that. We don't know what that's like. So people used to get on social media and complain about how their eggs weren't cooked properly. And it seems, I could see why people from war-torn parts of the world just think we're ignorant and jerks for complaining about how good things are. But it might be just a state of humanity, of human beings. We want things to be awesome. We want things to be better. I think the Greeks talk about that ethic of trying to self-improve and be critical of oneself and then improve oneself through Socratic method, questions and answers. And if you can improve yourself, why don't you improve yourself? I might get on the elliptical after this. I think that'll be a good idea. I want to improve my fitness, improve my cardio, because I've been eating too much lately, drinking too much lately, not exercising enough. So maybe I'll get on the elliptical, work it out. Come back to the comments. We invented a new pair of sneakers that I think should be invented and sold to the public. I want them. And like 10% goes to like some kind of veteran-based charity group. So it'll be fun. Cool. Thanks for coming along on the journey with me again for the third time. Let's flip it back and take one last look at this thing that we made in 2 hours. I feel okay about it. Hopefully you do too. And that's all I got for today. What's the last bit of text? Savannah says the subtle red of the face is really cool. I've temporarily given up on Blender baking for the time being and went crawling back to Marmoset. Got it. Got it. 2 hours, 10 minutes. Good time, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great day.